When I look at Zetwerk, apart from the lines of business you have today, the obvious derivative use cases would also be around logistics or procurement materials. Yeah. Is it something that you're already doing in a big way? Something that you will perhaps double down on going forward?
We are doing bits and pieces of it. So if you look at our business from a supplier lens, if you look at the SME as the heart of our business, in some way we are giving new orders to that small manufacturer.
Yeah.
But that's not the only thing that they need. Once they get an order, we feel that the ecosystem to execute that order is broken in our country. Whether it's logistics, whether it's procurement, whether it's working capital, there's a host of services which a typical small manufacturer needs, which are missing in the country today. Over a period of time, we have started to think about our business that way. Like of course, we start by increasing the revenue of that entity. If they were doing 1 crore of business last year, via Zetwerk, this year they'll do 1.5 crores, 2 crores. But over and above, how can we help them execute that better? So while we are not doing logistics yet, but we have started experiments with working capital, with procurement, etc. And increasingly, they will be a part of our strategy moving forward. The idea is to build an operating system for manufacturing.
So credit, B2B.
Credit, helping them buy raw materials better at a faster speed. See, one thing we realized when we were looking at our data, when you give an order to a SME to make a product from start to finish, there are, let's say, 10 steps in that journey from step 1 to step 10. 80% of the delays happened in step 1 itself, which is buying the raw material. People were taking long time to buy that raw material. And why was that? For various reasons. That their cash was stuck, they were waiting to get the best rates, etc. And that's when we realized, right, to solve for our customer experience, because our customers value on-time delivery, they value quality. Ultimately, if the things are breaking at the last mile, and if we really want to make a dent, we actually have to solve this problem at some point in our time. We can do it through partnerships. We don't have to do everything ourselves.
In terms of policy, what do you think needs to be done better for manufacturing companies like yours in terms of improving the ease of doing business?
Sure. No, I feel like fundamentally there's been, we have seen the business from last 3-4 years only, so we didn't know what existed before. But certainly things like GST, things like PLI, which is an incentive scheme by the government to encourage production of various items in India. These are certainly real impact that we are seeing. Like, I'll give a simple example. With GST, what has happened? Prior to GST, the country was very localized. Like if you were a manufacturer based in southern India, your market was limited to southern India because it was very difficult with excise and VAT. But today the country has opened up. So your market has become there's one tax, and because of that the market has opened up in a big way. And we are seeing supply chains being reconstructed as we speak. And definitely we find ourselves at the right place at the right time. Some of this we did not anticipate. But it has been a big game changer, at least as far as manufacturing is concerned. And secondly, there are things like if you're creating a new manufacturing entity, there are a lot of tax rebates. The taxation that you're subject to is lower than a normal new corporate. And things like PLI, which encourage production. And production can be both for domestic and for exports. The only thing is we have to be a little patient. These things don't happen overnight. Like even GST, it's a 4-year, 5-year process. We are starting to see the impact of these things today. Every month we are setting, the government is setting records in terms of GST collections. But these things take time. Certainly the intent is very strong. That's what I can say.
But any challenges that you see that can be done better in terms of the ease of doing business as someone who's in the manufacturing space today?
Nothing in particular that stands out. I think there is of course a process for everything, and those processes have been set for various reasons, historically reasons. So it's not up to us to question those. I think the more importantly than looking back, it's important to look forward.
And be long-term long-term patient, as you said. But if I look at the first, been 4 years since you started, you've already had a pivot, and now you're kind of confident about the space that you're operating in. What are the next 4 years or next 10 years going to look like for you in terms of where you want to be?
Yeah, I like to answer this question in a more macro way. Like if you look at various indices for India, if you take steel consumption, it's a very esoteric metric, but the per capita consumption of steel in India is around 70 kgs per person. To put this into context,
I'm not sure how many people will know that statistic.
To put that into context, the world average is 200, 250, and China is close to 400. Which means that at least in our lifetime, if we believe that India will be a 5 trillion, 10 trillion economy, all of these things will grow. Like what we are building is the pipeline of the economy in some way. All of the consumer businesses, all of the other, like let's call them front end businesses depend on us in some way to succeed, to create that strong backend that a country which is a 5 trillion economy deserves. So that is our goal. Like as the country grows,
Zetwerk will also
grow at some point.
Any entrepreneur who's really inspired you in the way you want to build Zetwerk or the way you have built Zetwerk so far?
Yeah, we really look up to, I think companies which have built strong teams.
Like
I think the Meesho guys have done really well. Oyo, for a long period of time, they have challenges in their business, but I think they've built a very strong team, very strong culture. So these are companies to look up to.
Right. On that note, thank you very much for talking to us on this today.
Yeah, thank you for